Hello and welcome to the third module of the Final Fantasy Z card game. This time we're just going to hit a couple keywords and just kind of wrap this thing up, and then we'll put together a little playthrough video of us just playing through a game so you can kind of see the general flow of things. So, um, real quick, some of the keywords that I haven't touched on in the other videos. Um, I'm just skimming through here. Staggering damage effect. If you're familiar with the critical damage effect from Dragon Ball Z, this is very similar. Let's for a moment pretend we are. This deck that I am facing is using this holy card, and they hit me with an attack for 5 damage. And it's strictly just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 directly off the top of my deck. This enables them to make a choice. A staggering damage effect differs quite differently from a critical damage effect in Dragon Ball Z. A staggering damage effect, you can stagger an opponent's character, and this puts them in a staggered state where they have to level up in order to be used. So in some cases, if your opponent doesn't gain experience, they might not get a chance to use their character. If And that's a risk that you take if you only play one or two characters. Your opponent can really highly screw up your game plan with this staggering damage effect. However, there is a comeback mechanic in the Final Fantasy Z card game. When your opponent chooses to use a staggering damage effect, you gain 1 limit break. So this is going to put you one step closer to unleashing your ultimate attack if your opponent chooses to do that. Now, there's 2 other things you can do with a staggering damage effect as well, aside from staggering your opponent, which is going to be you can make them retreat. And I'm going to explain this retreat and advance function here in a second. You can make them retreat or lower. Let's say this man is at 4 experience. We're going to drop him to 3. We're going to lower his experience to 1, or lower his experience by 1. And then let's talk quickly about advancing and retreating. This double slash card, it has an effect here that says front. So this effect that is front only happens if Cloud is in the front row. If he's back here where he's been retreated to the back row, he's not going to get the front effect. Now the next sentence says advance, so this card won't stay in play. He'll gain 1 experience, and then he advances, but it won't stay in play. Now, if he's in the front row and he advances, if he's in the front row and plays this card will stay in play to be used a second time. Now, also there are cards like this holy card that require you to be in the back. If you're in the back, you rejuvenate 1. Certain cards will make your opponent advance, opponent retreat. Certain cards will make your characters advance and retreat accordingly. So pay attention to these types of effects. Now, there is a little funny interaction with how synergy works with the front and back row. If your character, let's say Cloud in this instance, is playing double slash, actually that's not the best. Double slash advances him to the front, so he'll always get his synergy bonus. However, this card, Firebolt Blade, that's on screen now, it says front. You may pay 1 cost to make this attack deal remove damage. That's great. But if you're looking for a synergy bonus and you're using this from the back, you are actually going to miss out on some damage here if you have a synergy bonus, because you lose the synergy bonus if you do not achieve the front or back requirements of the card. So make sure you're paying attention to that. That might be a little weird to explain, but let's just say Cloud is by himself and he plays this card from the back when he is supposed to be in the front. This card only does 4 damage, where if he were in the front and he's by himself and the card requires him to be in the front, it's going to do 6. So that's a little bit of a confusing interaction, but this is how the cards work. And then from there, there's one mechanic, and this is one of the more advanced mechanics of the game is super advancing. And I'm going to try to succinctly describe this as best I can. If your opponent's entire party, so I'm going to move my party to the back row. If your opponent's entire party is in the back row and you use an advance effect, so let's just move these cards out of the way, kind of get some of the noise out of here. So let's say Misuzu's party here, she is advancing while my entire party is in the back row. She is actually going to take my front row and make that her new front row, which essentially moves all my characters to the front. And there are cards that trigger off this super advanced mechanic. So just keep in mind, and this is great for you if your opponent's deck or party is filled with spellcasters that need to be in the back row to try to achieve some of their bigger effects. You can advance or super advance them to the front, and now they lose access to all that. So there's a little bit of an ebb and flow between the attacking characters that use attack cards that are constantly advancing and the spellcasters that are trying to retreat and get back into the back row. And there's a little bit of back and forth of, am I in the correct position or am I not? And from there, I think that hits all of the keywords that I missed in the other videos. If you have any questions at all, I'm hoping you found this through the Discord that I created. Just message me. If you feel that there's something that could be done a little better in these videos, I have no problem at all kind of walking through it again. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this game. There's a lot to it. My wife and I, we have played hundreds of games, so we're going to go ahead and do a tutorial game, just a quick one with these decks. You've seen some of the cards in my deck already, and just give you a general feel of the game flow. Anyway, I hope to see you on Octagon, and I will catch you later.